All right, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell here in the Weather First Weather Center along with Gary Frank, and we are tracking severe thunderstorms this afternoon. Things are going to get interesting and quickly. They're going to go downhill. This is the second phase of this system that we've been tracking. We had the round one early this morning. Now we have thunderstorms developing to our west, and we do have new severe thunderstorm warnings that really are out along the Missouri River. These storms have been developing out around Jefferson City and moving to the east. The main threat at this point is large hail up to about the size of quarters, maybe a little larger, and also the potential of 60-mile-per-hour winds. These storms, though, are developing across the rest of Warren County into St. Charles County. So far, the storms coming into St. Charles County haven't grown to be severe, but they could as we head through time. So the warning right now, we have two of them. One here goes from southwestern portions of Warren County back into northwestern portions of Franklin County, then into Gasconade County. Also includes portions of Montgomery County, and that is all on the Missouri side of the river that we are tracking these storms right now. And they are moving off to the east fairly quickly, and that's one thing. These are going to move fairly quickly, but as you see, the line of these storms is pretty extensive. It's continuing to back build towards the Lake of the Ozarks. So this warning that's in effect for our western counties runs until 4:15. It's likely we will see this warning kind of in these storms extended a little further to the east as time rolls on. So here's a little closer inspection. Already around the Innsbruck area, not severe, but a strong thunderstorm in that Innsbruck area right now. And you're not under the warning at the moment, but it could happen in the next little bit. We kind of zoom in, and I'll go back here on this side. When we're looking at this, this is about where Innsbruck is right here. That's going to push into St. Charles County, in towards New Melly. Eventually, this is going to get into Wentzville, Darden Prairie, Lake St. Louis. Will it be severe when it gets there? It's potential, that's for sure. The conditions are favorable. This is the cell that the warning is on that's now coming into portions of western Gasconade County. It's just moving in towards the Herman area right now, and as it does so, it looks like it is producing some hail southwest of Herman, and as it gets to Gasconade here and then far western portions of the county, that's where we're looking at potentially those gusty winds running about 55 to 60 miles per hour. Pop on the velocity, you see some brighter greens in here. Also perhaps some broader rotation. We do have a tornado threat this afternoon as well across the region, and that's something we're going to be monitoring for you because there have been some changes here from the Storm Prediction Center just within the last half hour or so, based on what happened earlier this morning. So let's talk about that. Here is the new risk area. And you see that much of southeast Missouri and much of southern Illinois, south of St. Louis, is now in a level 4 of 5. So level 4 or 5 risk for severe thunderstorms. And the greatest threat down here across southeast Missouri, southern Illinois, is for that potential of stronger tornadoes as well as wind gusts that maybe exceed 70 miles per hour. Now, as we get back to the metro area, you can see we kind of are in that splitting between the level 2 and the level 3. But our risks are all here this afternoon for severe weather as this line continues to evolve and develop across the region. We don't have the new tornado watch yet. That's being coordinated by SPC, so we will get a tornado watch. The other threats we've been dealing with, we all know we've had quite a bit of rainfall, so we have a flood watch for the potential of flash flooding. So these storms could produce heavy rainfall, and that in and of itself is going to be problematic too. So all of our area has the flood watch in effect, and that's for the potential of flash flooding. So we're going to have to watch the threats of strong thunderstorms with large hail, strong thunderstorms with maybe 60 to 70 mile per hour winds, potential for some tornadoes, and especially southeast Missouri, southern Illinois, the potential for some stronger tornadoes, and also the potential that this line of thunderstorms continues to produce flooding rains if we see them moving over the same areas over and over. Kind of look at this radar picture here, and we extend it back towards Lake of the Ozarks and down into the Springfield area. All along this front, we are seeing development now, and these storms are looking rather intense. There's one headed towards or very near Osage Beach down at Lake of the Ozarks. So we know we have some folks down at Lake of the Ozarks that might be streaming us right now. So just be on alert this afternoon. Know where your safe place is. That's going to be the biggest thing here, is you may not get a lot of warning when these storms are pushing in, and you need to have a plan at this point for where you're going to go, where you're going to shelter if these storms do become severe in your area. And in a worst case scenario, like we saw in northern Arkansas, far southern portions of Missouri last night, where we had those tornadoes, Rogers, Arkansas for one, we had some significant damage down that way. It's very possible that happens across parts of southeast Missouri and southern Illinois again today. So Gasconade County into southwestern Warren County and the northwestern portions of Franklin County right now. And that does include this area here as we go out towards just west of New Haven, back towards Berger. It includes the Herman area, down towards Coal City, Swiss. You're probably along Highway 19 going to see some of that larger hail here shortly. So these storms are moving into an environment that, even though we had storms this morning, it's in an environment that's been able to recover from the morning thunderstorm activity. And now these storms are beginning to develop, and they could be strong to severe across most of the area. The exceptions would be the farther north you get, the less risk there is. The farther south from St. Louis you go, the greater the risk as we head through this afternoon and through this evening. Looks like that may be up to golf ball size hail now. Yeah, so up to golf ball size hail. Let's track that hail core. I'll stop this for a second, and we'll track that hail core for you, and I'll put it full screen so you get a good look at it. And let me just check, what's the speed on that? Is that running about 40? Yeah. So let me just run that at 40 miles per hour. So the largest hail with this, kind of tracking off to the east-northeast, that's going to take it towards Coal City and then eventually Bernheimer. So again, those are areas here in northwestern portions of Franklin County and parts of Gasconade County that stand to see the strongest of this thunderstorm as it's pushing through. These are going to be active, going to be an active afternoon. Storms are continuing to develop into St. Charles County, into Warren County. We have some now up towards Grafton. We have some that are trying to develop into far north St. Louis County. Again, the potential's there for severe weather to develop across the area this afternoon. The ingredients, they're available. The tornado threat is definitely there. We would say the tornado threat is higher southeast of St. Louis. This area southeast of St. Louis, not seeing a whole lot of action at the moment. And you won't for a little bit. It's going to take a while. But this line's going to continue to evolve, and we will continue to monitor it and track it. And all along this line, you're going to have the risk for damaging winds and hail from these severe thunderstorms. So just with severe thunderstorm warnings, you want to be inside and away from the windows and doors, right? So that's number one. But if these storms do start spinning, and there are some indications that we may have some significant tornadoes, not just the little quick spin-ups, but more significant tornadoes developing, especially southeast of St. Louis. If that happens, then your best shelter option means the basement. And if you don't have a basement, then you're looking for the lowest floor, interior room, so as many walls between you and the outside. We don't have any tornado warnings right now. There's nothing imminent showing up on circulations that we see at the moment. But it's one of those things where, at the moment, we want to prepare you for what may come before the afternoon and evening are over across our area. Now, we know on Channel 5 right now, we are airing the Indy 500, which just started. There's a pretty good chance we'll have to break into that. And it may be one of those things where, we'll do what we got to do. But if we've got tornadoes, and there's significant tornadoes, we're going to have to interrupt that, and we're going to have to stick with you and keep you safe. So the storm's back here over the lake, area and into southwest and west central Missouri, these are all severe storms too. They're all producing hail, potentially gusty winds to 60 miles per hour. We're going to see if they're able to attain that rotation capability where they can start spinning and then create the potential for tornadoes. That's a very real threat. So at the moment, the only severe thunderstorm warning for our area is this storm that's working its way towards Highway 19 here and kind of along Highway 100. Just south of Herman is the worst of it, south and southwest of Herman. That's going to be pushing over, and it eventually gets towards New Haven. I would suspect, based on the fact that this storm doesn't show any signs of weakening, that this warning will get extended a little farther on to the east to include additional parts of Warren County, additional parts perhaps of Franklin County, and maybe into St. Charles. So the watch is coming out until 11 o'clock? All right, so our tornado watch is coming out until 11 o'clock. I don't know if it's going to be plotted up here yet. Springfield just put theirs out. St. Louis is working on getting theirs out, but we can change the timing on that and put it to 11 p.m. And we know that it is going to get extended here across southeast Missouri. This is also what we call a PDS Tornado Watch. So it's a particularly dangerous situation tornado watch, which means the possibility of longer track, more intense tornadoes exists. And so that's a very severe thing, you know, and it's a very significant thing. It's one we don't take lightly. You don't get a lot of these particularly dangerous situation tornado watches. So if you have friends, first of all, if you have multiple ways to get weather information this afternoon, that's number one. You need to have multiple ways to get warnings. And that includes your friends. And your friends may not be aware that we're getting ready to get into this, you know, potentially tornadic situation, because it looked like after this morning's activity that, yeah, maybe things will ease up a little bit. And that may not be the case. So what we want you to do is let your friends know, especially if you have friends that are camping and you know they're out at the state parks, maybe Merrimack State Park, maybe Washington State Park, Johnson Shut-ins. Johnson Shut-ins had some rough storms early this morning. You know, Hahn State Park. If you've got some friends that are out camping or maybe they're on a float trip or something like that, give them a text, send them a text. Don't try to, you know, you can try to call them. Sometimes the phone calls don't go through because the cell service is a little iffy, but a text message will. So shoot them a text and let them know that, hey, the weather's changing and things could get pretty dicey this afternoon across the area, and we need you to be paying attention to what's going on and you know, be ready to take some action and seek some safe spots. And, you know, you're limited in campgrounds, obviously, as to where those safe spots would be. A tent is not a safe spot. But your bathhouses, you know, most of the campgrounds have a store. Those are going to be your most substantial shelter. These storms that are coming in here to the west of St. Louis, and it looks like the one's starting to strengthen a little bit around Innsbrook, too, as that's pushing in towards New Melly, pushing in towards Forestel. May not be quite severe yet, but it's getting close here. This is impacting Interstate 72 now with some rain, although the heaviest rain is still just to the south of the interstate. But there you see, well, what we're doing here. So this is going to move to the northeast or east-northeast, and you know, western portions of St. Charles County, you're going to get a pretty good storm here in the next few minutes. Going to add in some lightning here. Let's see. We've got quite a few cloud-to-ground lightning strikes in there, an indication that hail is building. I'll make that a little bit bigger for you so you can kind of see that. Well, in just a second I will. And you can kind of see that these are, you know, much more significant in terms of lightning strikes. Fair number there. We go back to the west. Quite a bit of lightning out here. So here's the rest of that tornado watch that's coming out. And let me go find that. So here are the other counties, and I think Paducah's probably going to be in on some of this too. But this tornado watch is going to include the metro St. Louis area. So it includes Warren County, it includes St. Charles County, it includes St. Louis County, Madison, St. Clair, Monroe, Jefferson County, the entire metro St. Louis area under this new tornado watch, which will run until 11 o'clock tonight. And I suspect it extends farther to the east too, as the local offices have to issue the actual watch notification in addition to the Storm Prediction Center. So why is that the situation this afternoon? Well, here's your line of thunderstorms developing and doing so pretty rapidly across the region. At the moment, there's severe thunderstorms, they're producing hail, they're producing gusty winds. They aren't producing a lot of rotation just yet, but that possibility certainly exists. That hail core is working its way towards the Gasconade-Franklin County line, and when we zoom in on the strongest of the storms that we have right now, it's pretty close to and in and around down from Herman going southbound along Highway 19. That hail core is probably going to stay just south of Berger, but in New Haven, it looks like, if anything, it may be shifting a little east to east-southeast. That's the hail. That's the core of the storm. So this large hail will be crossing Highway 100 here in a few minutes out in Franklin County. And additional warnings are going to be issued all along this as the afternoon goes on. We'll add the lightning back in there. And again, there's the one in St. Charles that's really perking up with the electrical activity. This is also perking up out here with all that hail. A lot of lightning with these storms. And I think this is going to be a very active late afternoon, early evening, and it does stretch back all the way into the Lake of the Ozarks area. So again, as we've been mentioning, if you have some friends down at the lake, it's Memorial Day weekend, traditionally a kickoff weekend. Right now around Lake of the Ozarks and Osage Beach, look at the storm moving in there. And so that's a big deal for the folks down there. Severe thunderstorm warning. Hopefully everybody's off the water and in a safe place at this point. But this whole area is just going to continue to fill in. And you see how the lightning is just blossoming here, the cloud-to-ground lightning, just an indication that these storms are really starting to flare up, okay? The environment in these areas is going to continue to be increasingly favorable for severe thunderstorms. That's what we're thinking this afternoon. So the tornado watch is now in effect for much of the area, including St. Louis and the metro area, and then points to the south, and then stretches out along Interstate 70 off to the east, or just south of Interstate 70. Let's say along and south of 70 in Illinois. That's kind of where the easiest way to differentiate. Technically, Vandalia and Greenville, Illinois are not in it, but you're awfully close to it. But our southern counties are definitely in this. So at the moment, the strongest storm is the two strongest storms. I think we're going to get a new one. Yeah, we're getting a new warning here. This strong storm here is moving into Warren County, moving into St. Charles County. And I'll take the lightning off so you can see it better on radar. I think we're going to get a warning on that here in a few minutes. But this storm is rapidly strengthening as it approaches the Wentzville area and into Forestell. This storm has prompted a new warning that goes through southern portions of Warren County. That includes Marthasville. It includes Washington and northern Franklin County, out through New Haven and Berger, still under that severe thunderstorm warning. This is producing hail. It's also bulging out a little bit. So the potential is there that we have some stronger winds with this as well. So a very active afternoon is on the way, and we'll be sticking with you for much of the afternoon. This new warning that is in effect will go until 5 o'clock for eastern portions of Gasconade County into Franklin and into Warren counties. So really right along the Missouri River here, either side of it is where we're going to see the worst of this developing and moving in. That storm back here that's come out of St. Albert, that is really, as it's pushing into western portions of Gasconade County. This is one of those scenarios where you'll get multiple rounds of storms. And we saw that happen somewhere throughout the course of the day. But, you know, this morning we saw that wave after wave. You could have hail in the same spots a couple of times, maybe more than that, as these storms work through. So right now it's Franklin, Gasconade, and Warren counties. So those are the situations. Let me just make a note here. Yep, so yeah, this is going to be a rapidly evolving situation. Just putting the lightning back on there, look how much lightning there is with this. Huge amount of lightning. Cloud-to-ground lightning is extensive with these storms, and that's a big indicator of the hail. And we're getting close to that storm in western portions of St. Charles County being severe. It's kind of pulsed up and yeah, it's only it's pulsing up and then pulsing down, and we'll see what's going to happen. And Gary, I think there may still be a 5 o'clock newscast today. I think they were going to switch the Indy 500 to something else.
Oh, is it going to go?
I think it might go somewhere else. So
that's good for the amount we're going to get yelled at.
Yeah, that's probably right. So if you want to go check with the newsroom just to make sure that, you know, Frankie is prepared for that too, you know, because we want to make sure that we do have, you know, that this is not something that NBC apparently is going to stick with. I didn't read that plan today. Okay, shoot.
When is it hitting St. Charles?
When is it hitting St. Charles? It's in St. Charles County now. Okay, this storm at least has small hail as it's coming into the Wentzville area back towards Forestdale. It's moving to the east-northeast. So you can just stretch it. You know, it's almost into New Mella. You can certainly hear the thunder. We had one little batch already slide over, a quick hit there around Darden Prairie and Lake St. Louis, slipped through part of O'Fallon and St. Peters. But now the main area of this strengthening storm, which could become severe, and again, unfortunately, this is an area that was pounded by the hail back on March 14th. And so, you know, you could be looking at more hail in here with this storm as it works kind of along 70 here, or either side of 70. I don't think we want to say north or south of 70. I think it's going to encompass both of it. But Cottleville, you'll be in the path of this storm. Into downtown St. Charles, since it's moving about 40 miles per hour, we can track that out for you and just give you an estimated time of when this stronger storm gets there, kind of moving there. St. Charles, our timing on that is at 4:41 in downtown St. Charles. And then over at Earth City at about 4:45. So Darden Prairie, you know, you've got another 4 or 5 minutes before it really picks up and gets intense. O'Fallon, it's within the next couple of minutes it really picks up and gets intense. So that's what we've got there on the timeline.
So then we have when will it hit Illinois side and when will it hit the immediate metro?
Yeah. Okay, let's see. Well, it's and I'm monitoring 3 or 4 different things here. Let me clear that off. So this whole line, as it's moving now, it looks like they are going to stick with it.
Yeah, that's what he said. He was like, well, they're not changing this. So we're going to get yelled at regardless.
So here's kind of getting it into the Metro East. And this is just a rough guesstimate because this is assuming it doesn't, you know, something else doesn't develop out ahead of it. It could easily develop out ahead of it. But getting into Bridgeton, say, 4:40. Spanish Lake, so you're into North County by 4:55. Into Des Peres by about 5:11. Into St. Louis proper by 5:26.
Somebody said their side is going off in Washington.
Well, I don't know why that would be.
Didn't that happen last time, though, too?
I think they did that last time.
Yeah, I think they did that last time.
Washington, Missouri, you know, there's no tornado indication out of this. So if your sirens are going off in Washington, Missouri, it is not because of a tornado. That's just because of this storm that's out to the west. And it's producing golf ball size hail. It's moving east. It is going to get into Marthasville, Dutso, Washington. It's about, it's picking up in New Haven now. You're getting the heavy rain, but the hail is just back beyond that. So that's coming your way. But there's no indication that this is tornadic at all at this point. This is just a severe thunderstorm warning, and winds 60 to 60 miles per hour, but hail up to the size of golf balls. That's what this is going to be. This is going to be more of a hail damage situation right now based on what we're seeing. All right, and Eric in the control room, just to let you know, once these warnings do get extended into the metro area, we will break in briefly to the Indy race and try to keep it as short as possible until we have tornado warnings, and then we'll stick with that forever. But here's kind of where this boundary is up to our north. So you can see in Illinois, you've already had some storms around Grafton. They're moving up not too far from Carlinville. They've gone through Litchfield. This area is a big area of concern for flooding potential. Litchfield had 8 inches of rain with the storms on Friday. So, the fields, the farm fields here are completely saturated. Really noticing an uptick in that lightning there around the O'Fallon and Wentzville area. While it's not severe yet, it's getting awfully close, and it's definitely a strong storm. And, you want to be inside, away from windows and doors through these storms. That's for sure. And this is just going to be something that, we're going to have to deal with this between now and 9, 10, 11 o'clock tonight. Now, as these storms, I'll take the lightning back off. As these storms move into the environment down a little farther south of St. Louis, they get into a more robust area where the potential for seeing that twisting and the dangerous twisting of the winds will be. And that's where we get more concerned about the potential for those long track, stronger, more intense tornadoes. So that's something that we're definitely going to be watching down here to the south of St. Louis in particular. But St. Louis is still in that tornado watch, as is St. Charles County, as is Warren County, Madison, St. Clair County, all of the metro area in that tornado watch. And look at this line, it's just filling back in. We go back down to the Springfield radar, and you have some of these huge storms. They're all producing hail, gusty winds in these storms. Lake of the Ozarks getting pounded right now, and then the action sliding into our area. So at the moment, just that one severe thunderstorm warning for our area. There will be more. There is no doubt about that, but there will be more. But this is the first warning of the day, really the first storm of the day to prompt a warning in our area. So it's on the very eastern portions of Gasconade County for this storm that's moving into Franklin County, and it'll kind of hug the Missouri River either side of Warren and Franklin County, so Berger and New Haven into Washington. And then you have the area here west and southwest of Herman. That's also seeing some hail at this point. So that's got another severe thunderstorm warning on it. This storm out around Wentzville into Lake St. Louis right now and into O'Fallon, out to Forestel. At the very least, that has some small hail with it. So, these are things that we're going to be we're going to be tracking these for a long time this afternoon. But these storms have that potential to grow, and we've seen them grow pretty rapidly in the last hour or two and really develop into this good size line that is now moving across the area. Going to take you to let's see if I can find it. This is a computer model of what may happen. And again, don't take this as gospel, but it's what may happen. This is about 5:20, and you see this broken line of thunderstorms, and some of them pretty intense. They're definitely showing up here. We kind of move it along here, and as we step through the rest of the hour or two after that, this is the area where we're more concerned with the development towards 6:30, 7 o'clock, down here into Washington County, Potosi, southern portions of Jefferson County, down towards Farmington, Park Hills, Bon Terre, Valley Mines, maybe Prairie to Rocher, maybe Ruma, Illinois, St. Genevieve. This line down into Bunker, Ironton, Fredericktown, that part of the line, this area of southeast Missouri, southern Illinois, will tend to be more favorable for seeing those stronger tornadoes develop. And you see how intense those storms are as they're working out. And in addition to that, you may see the storms just bowing out in general. And with that, you could get 70 or more mile per hour winds that are a bit more on the widespread scenario. And they cause as much damage as some of those smaller tornadoes, if not more, because they're more widespread instead of being concentrated. So, yeah, go ahead.
Someone said, when will the tornado sirens go off?
Well, and here's the problem with the tornado sirens is, you know, we don't control those. That's all the local officials. So that's determined by, say, in Washington, where the tornado sirens were going off. The Washington, Missouri folks pushed the button. They thought this was enough to sound the tornado sirens. There are no circulations that we're identifying at this point. There's no good rotation in any of these thunderstorms. They are severe thunderstorms, for sure. This one in particular here, the one in St. Charles County, hasn't prompted a warning yet, but it's awfully close, probably producing at least pea-size hail, maybe a little bit larger than that, as it's pushing in here through Wentzville and into O'Fallon, and now kind of scooting along the Quiver River up there towards Old Monroe. So at least some small hail in here, but the amount of lightning is incredible with this storm. I'm going to see if I can maybe it'll give me a lightning tracker. Let me see if I can find that. Just in that little area there, that little box. So 55 strikes in that little box. If I kind of do the whole storm, so just in this box here, what's it going to update? It did not update. Let me clear it. No, I'll tell you. Okay, that one gave me 93. So 93 lightning strikes. That's a lot of lightning strikes in the last 15 minutes, just for that one storm. And that's the one coming into O'Fallon. That's the one coming into Lake St. Louis. You've seen the worst of it now in Wentzville, although you still have some heavy rain coming back to the west. So that is not a severe thunderstorm just yet, but it is awfully close. So, you know, it's something we're monitoring, the severe thunderstorm back to the southwest. And that severe thunderstorm, okay, come on, computer. Well, now it doesn't want to do that. So let's just do this. Maybe we'll get from here. We'll go from here. So here we have the line of strong to severe thunderstorms. This one seems to have weakened a little bit. That's out in western portions of Gasconade County, still probably producing some smaller hail. That's the one that's been severe, producing the large hail, and that's why they sounded those sirens in Washington. But it's the local folks that push the button for the sirens. Typically, that's when a tornado warning is issued. So if a tornado warning is issued, they push the button, the sirens go off, and then everybody tunes in to see what's going on. At this point, you know, there's nothing here that indicates that we have tornadic activity. That's not necessarily what's to come. We think the risk area of southeast Missouri, really this area down here, our southeastern counties, you know, southern Jefferson County, Crawford, Washington, Iron, Reynolds, Madison, St. Francis, St. Genevieve, Perry, Randolph, southern Monroe, maybe even over here to Nashville. This is probably the area that's more conducive to seeing that potential. Now, here's the thing. While it's quiet right now, it's a good time to make your plan as to what you're going to do if, you know, you do have one of these storms that's producing a tornado, especially if it's producing a larger tornado. And maybe you live in a vulnerable position, you're in a vulnerable home, you live in a manufactured home or a mobile home. You know, now's the time to maybe think, well, where am I going to go? Where can I go? What's the closest place to me? Do I have some friends I can go spend the afternoon with that's more substantial shelter? Is there some place I can go hang out that's a little safer place for me? Because mobile homes and manufactured homes in general do not fare well with strong tornadoes at all. And we see that as a big problem. Look at all the lightning with this. Look at these storms. Look at all that lightning. All indications of intense thunderstorms, all indications of hail-producing thunderstorms. And with that, you see all the warnings that are in effect along this line of thunderstorms. So the imminent threat, probably for the next hour or so, is mostly going to be from the potential of hail and gusty winds in the thunderstorms. And then as this line pushes, as it goes off to the southeast here and pushes into these areas to the southeast of the line, that's where it becomes more favorable for the potential of seeing some tornadoes. So that's what we have right now. You know, we know we've got the warning in effect out here into Franklin and into Warren counties, the northern part of the county, right along the Missouri River. And I'll give you the radar. We'll give you the radar full, so you can kind of see it. And you can see how these are evolving. You know, this morning's activity did impact this to some degree. The storm that's coming into St. Charles right now, I'm looking at the hail indicator on that, and a couple of times it's gone up to about 1 inch, and then the core's jumped around a little bit. So, you know, it may be strengthening a little bit and maybe producing some gusty winds of 40 to 50 miles per hour, but I don't see anything screaming that it's terrible at this point. It's a strong storm. I mean, this is definitely a strong storm, for sure.
See the map closer.
Yeah, I can get you in closer. And that's what we're looking at into St. Charles County. So, you know, you've had some of that really heavy weather in New Melly down Highway D and Double D. It's pushing in right now in Darden Prairie. You're at Highway N. You're at 364. It's moving into Cottleville in the next few minutes. Cottleville, of course, you have all the a lot of folks outside in Cottleville, just in downtown, because that's what they do in downtown Cottleville. You're going to need to get inside and get to that safe place. The warning still continuing for southern portions of Warren County and northern portions of Franklin County. So it looks like the core of that storm is about in New Haven right now.
Someone in Harvester said they have no power.
Already. And that could be, some of that could be from lightning. I'm just going to put the track on it with these storms kind of moving off to the east. This is the whole line. Now, this isn't, you know, the one in St. Charles County is not a severe warned storm yet, but it's strong. So it's in Cottleville in about 4 or 5 minutes. It's in Spanish Lake by 4:54. Bridgeton, you're going to see it at 4:45. Creve Coeur, 4:52. Into St. Louis by 5 o'clock. I think we're going to have problems with this Cards-Cubs game this evening, too. So the northern Franklin County storm is still looking at about 2-inch hail, which is likely going to push towards the town of Washington. That's where that core is looking like it's going. So here's that storm. And, you know, that hail core is pretty close to New Haven, and it looks like it's headed right for Washington. Maybe that hail core, after it passes New Haven, kind of runs right over here towards Marthasville too. That's Highway 100 and Highway 94 there. So, you know, right along the Missouri River here, that Dundee area. It's Washington, you're starting to get the rain right now. Certainly you've been hearing the thunder. And downtown Washington's a place where a lot of people are sometimes outside enjoying, you know, the venues along the riverfront. But now is the time to get inside and play it safe with this storm. Some gusty winds, perhaps to 60 miles per hour. As we look at the velocity on this, you can see there are some pockets in here where we have some brighter colors, and that's an indication that you do have gusty winds in there as well. But no indication of rotation with this, any tight rotation or anything like that. And
It'll be in St. Louis, the tornado, or just thunderstorm?
well, we don't know. You know, the odds of seeing a tornado in any one spot, and this is a good question, because we do have the tornado watch now in effect until 11 o'clock tonight. But here's the thing. When you're talking about tornadoes are concentrated usually in a fairly, you know, small area. So they don't impact everybody, where the storm itself can be very large and can have a very big impact. So, you know, I can't tell you if there's going to be a tornado in St. Louis. We won't know until really that we start to see these storms circulate. You know, if they start to develop the circulation, that starts to tighten. We're not seeing that, you know, at this moment. But we are guesstimating out here in Dardenne Prairie that there's about 40-mile-per-hour winds with that storm moving in there. And O'Fallon, you probably have the same thing, up to St. Paul as well. So those are areas that we're definitely watching. Looks like the storm's still below severe limits. As I look at my hail indicator, I don't see the large hail with this storm in St. Charles County. I'm pretty sure it's got some pea-size hail. I can't imagine it wouldn't. But if we look at the hail indicator, you see it's just some lighter gray there. Now, if we go back to the storm down here in Franklin County and southern portions of Warren County, right along the Missouri River and just south of it, that's where we're looking at, you know, the potential of that larger hail core. And potentially that's, you know, that's very close to Dundee, just south of Dundee. And down 185 is where that hail core is going to cross over, and then it'll cross over Highway 100, and then it'll push into Washington, Missouri. So you may get some 2-inch golf ball size hail in Washington as this storm moves on to the east. And that's why we have the severe thunderstorm warning in effect there at the moment. These storms still very intense as you look all along this line, going back down towards Lake of the Ozarks. That one down here, you know, by Lebanon, Missouri, approaching Waynesville, that's out of our viewing area. But if we just look at that, while I don't see an imminent circulation, you don't like the look of that storm, okay? And that's why we think the areas farther to the south may have more potential to see the rotation and the potential for tornadoes farther south of St. Louis, and especially more intense tornadoes going farther into southeast Missouri as you get closer down, you know, towards Cape Girardeau and heading towards the Boot Heel. That's where it looks like some of the worst of the storms will end up going with this. Now, that's not to say we're not going to have, we're off free in St. Louis and we're not going to have a bad storm. We're going to have storms, and some of them are going to be somewhat intense as they come through the metro area. 1 inch of rain in St. Paul in the last hour out of that storm that's in northern St. Charles County right now. So just this cluster that we're watching and tracking right now, this cluster here is really producing some torrential rainfall. And it's falling on ground that, you know, had rain this morning, had rain last week, and over the last couple of 3 weeks has been full of rain. And so the ground is essentially saturated. So that's why the flood watch is in effect. And we may end up with flash flood warnings out of this too, because at the very least you're going to get poor drainage areas that flood, and you're going to get ponding on those roads. That's the storm right now over Dundee that has the large hail that's moving towards Washington, Missouri. So this may get into Augusta before it's all said and done. Out towards St. Albans too. We're kind of just waiting to see how it's going to track. It doesn't look like it's moving all that fast, you know, about 40 miles per hour. I'm just looking at some new information here. We do think the lowest levels of the atmosphere that supports that potential of dangerous twisting of wind, it seems to be much more concentrated over southeast Missouri and southern Illinois in about 2 to 3 hours. So, you know, again, down towards the Cape Girardeau area. That seems to be where that best option for that is going to be, and not that it's a good option. So they continue the severe thunderstorm warning at this point here in Franklin and Warren counties. The storm's still showing signs of hail. Hail core may be coming down a little bit, but it's still there. Moving right along Highway 100. right along Highway 100 here is where that's moving. So right along the Missouri River. It'll eventually get over here towards the Washington, the Highway 47 bridge in Washington. Just kind of, if you look at that hail core and just kind of keep it going east, then we're taking it into wine country here, down towards Augusta. So that's definitely a problematic scenario that could play out here as we go through this evening with the large hail, in addition to the potential for those damaging winds. So just kind of going back to our view that's a little bit broader here, with the lightning on here, very electrical storm, a lot of lightning. In fact, you were saying, Janelle, somebody said they were without power and harvester. I suspect that might have been more of a lightning issue than anything else. And there were, before these storms ever started, there were about 2,000 power outages in St. Charles County. And I don't know why. But you know what? I'll look on the Ameren website, because sometimes they do let you know what it was caused, if once they determine what it was.
So we're getting a few more questions.
Mm-hmm.
Not very specific, so I'm just gonna. Someone said there's hell in Washington.
Yeah, actually, that's Quiver River that's without power and I don't know why. I'm looking out in Gasconade County, and the last I saw, you know, Warren, Gasconade County, not much going on. Quiver River has an outage somewhere out there. But yeah, there's a lot here happening, and they're intense thunderstorms. So just, you know, and the lightning's really picking up across St. Charles County for sure. No question about that. And this is the way it's going to be. In fact, you know.
Yeah, there's St. Charles County right now.
Yeah.
Till 5:15.
Yep. So, Eric, if we want to pop in here just real fast. Yeah, use Max 2 and just count me in, let me know. But that's for St. Charles and St. Louis. So that storm, 60-mile-per-hour winds, quarter-size hail.
Someone said, would Festus be included in the area south that you're concerned about?
It's kind of on the borderline for the strongest tornadoes. Okay, here we go. So we're going to bump in on TV as well as streaming with you guys. So just hang loose here with us. All right, we do need to let you know about a developing situation across the bi-state area here this afternoon. We're tracking severe thunderstorms. We have a new severe thunderstorm warning that's in effect for St. Charles County and St. Louis County for this storm that is located right now around Cottleville and into St. Peters. It is moving to the east at about 40 miles per hour. It has the potential to produce quarter-size hail, and that hail most likely will impact areas of Harvester, St. Peters, into Bridgeton, into Overland, as well as parts of Creve Coeur, Maryland Heights, into North County, into the Ferguson area, eventually in towards Spanish Lake as well. You need to be inside, away from windows and doors. There is also a tornado watch that is in effect for much of the area right now. That runs until 10 o'clock tonight. We are concerned about the potential of dangerous tornadoes later today. Another severe thunderstorm warning out to the west into Franklin and southern portions of Warren County. We will try not to interrupt the Indy 500 as much as possible, but we will tell you this, that tornado risk down to the south and southeast of St. Louis is significant later in a couple of hours. So practice and think about what you're going to do if you come under the threat of these storms. Right now, St. Charles, St. Louis County under a severe thunderstorm warning, and that will run until about 5:15. All right, so back here on live in the studio. So we popped this up to about 1 inch hail. The hail core finally went up on it enough. Let's see if we've got the cameras, if we can grab a camera. Go back to that. So if you're in the path of this, you know, there's no imminent tornado with this right now. That's the good news. No imminent tornado. So we're happy about that. Let's just look and see. There's the Weldon Spring camera, and you can see it's a little breezy in Weldon Spring right now. There's your Hillsborough camera. It's breezy outside of the thunderstorms anyway. But yeah, and it's starting to rain in Weldon Spring as that storm is pressing in right now. And you can see the branch on the tree is really getting pretty gusty there. So that severe thunderstorm warning does include the Cottleville area right now. So we're dealing with these storms, and we will be dealing with these storms for the remainder of the evening. Gary Frank's here with me, and we're tracking the severe thunderstorms that include St. Louis County, generally along and north of Highway 4064, and then along the Missouri River up into St. Charles. They'll be into downtown St. Charles here in the next few minutes. Gusty winds occurring with these storms, along with a hail threat, perhaps an inch or more. I think they just went with quarter-size hail on this storm. But you want to be inside and away from the windows and doors. Now, while there's no imminent rotation indicated with these thunderstorms, you can see that gusty wind right now is making its way out here along Highway K, along Highway N, Feisey Road, along Mexico Road, coming into St. Peter's. So some of those winds may be gusting around 60 miles per hour with this storm. Not a circulation, but the potential's there for hail, and the potential is there for these strong gusty winds, and that could cause some additional power outages as these storms continue to move in. Kind of just backing it up and looking forward. No indications of any tornadoes with this, with any of the activity that we've seen so far. We haven't had any indications of rotation with these storms, but they are severe. They are producing a tremendous amount of cloud-to-ground lightning right now, and of course, obviously, it's going to be really noisy with that. I'm just going to look and see if we have any new information out there. But the hail core looks like it might be going just north of downtown Washington with that storm that we've been tracking through Warren and Franklin counties, just crossing the river just south of Marthasville, kind of heading right towards Stutzo, and then potentially here in and across wine country in southwestern portions of St. Charles County. So that storm had hail and a severe thunderstorm warning. Here's another severe thunderstorm warning. This is the one for St. Charles County, and really the area between 70 and 6440, all the way along 364, east of 94, right through and across the Missouri River, up towards 370, around into the Orchard Farm area of St. Charles County, and then into western portions of St. Louis County.
Look at those two to the south, closer to Fort Leonard Wood, and I just want to show you how indicative those are of maybe what we're going to see to the south.
Yeah.
You know, as they kind of have more of a structure there, they're going to enter a more favorable environment. Look how they're already starting to.
Yeah,
those
they
I
already
think
look
are
like
probably quickest ones.
Yeah, those are probably going to be the ones that are the problem makers here for us later on today. So, you know, at least at the moment, that's kind of what it looks like. So, severe thunderstorm, you know, that also includes Phelps County, and we would be concerned here. Let's look at Phelps County for our friends down there in Rolla. That warning's out pretty early for you. They are going with 60 mile per hour winds, but hail up to the size, it looks like, of baseballs. So your tornado sirens have probably gone off down in the Rolla area or in portions of Phelps County because of that destructive hail signature. So that's what we were looking at down there. So the storms continue to evolve all along and ahead of this front. Severe thunderstorm warning is in effect now for St. Louis County, and that includes the area from 170 west It includes Lambert. You're going to have flight delays in and around Lambert. The strongest part of this storm's coming into Cottleville, coming into St. Peter's right now, moving into St. Charles. That's the part of the storm that has the winds and the hail. You still see that hail core not too far from Washington, pretty close to Dutso, and it's moving towards Augusta. We have another severe thunderstorm warning out here in Gasconade County for this storm that's south of Lynn. That's going to move towards Drake and eventually move towards Gerald. So we are going to have a fair number of severe thunderstorm warnings for sure, but I want to emphasize, even though there's a tornado watch in effect for the St. Louis area right now, the greatest threat from tornadoes, more likely than not, is going to be down over our southern counties. And I know somebody asked on Instagram about Festus. You know, that's not out of the question here. I mean, it's not out of the question in the metro area, because any thunderstorm can and sometimes will produce a tornado. I mean, they do that without warning sometimes. But the greatest threat for seeing those longer track, more intense tornadoes will be over the southeastern portions of our viewing area. But until 11 o'clock tonight, we do have this severe tornado watch in effect, and we have this severe thunderstorm warning for the immediate future here, to include St. Louis County, St. Charles County, still in effect for Warren and northern portions of Franklin County. And there's a new warning on that that includes parts of St. Louis and Jefferson County and into Franklin County. So while we got a yellow caution going on the race. Are they still in yellow? Eric?
I can't tell, I'm watching it, but.
Are they in yellow? Are they in a delay here, or?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, it looks yellow.
okay.
See, they're flashing yellow.
Yeah, they're flashing yellow, so yeah, yellow. So while they're doing this, let's pop out and do another quick update on these storms.
Someone just said there's a storm to the south producing baseball-sized hail.
Yeah, that's down by Rolla. Yeah, that's actually west of Rolla. And we'll bump in here while they're taking a little bit of a break on the Indy 500 and they're in their caution. You need to use caution this afternoon as we have a storm alert. Right now we're tracking a couple of severe thunderstorms, actually multiple severe thunderstorms, but a new warning for that cell that's been producing hail and some gusty winds out there near Washington, Missouri, and just north of that. Augusta, Missouri, wine country, now under a severe thunderstorm warning. The rest of northeastern Franklin County into southwestern portions of St. Louis County, northwestern Jefferson County, Eureka's in this, Wildwood's in this, and then you come up into the metro area and you basically have a scenario playing out where you have the severe thunderstorm warning for this storm that's out around Cottleville up into St. Peter's, moving into St. Charles. That's going into North St. Louis County as it moves across the river, out of St. Charles. It'll move into Maryland Heights. It will move into Bridgeton. It will move into Creve Coeur, Florissant, Ferguson, Edmondson, Overland, and eventually into University City. That one with gusty winds as well as some quarter-size hail. The biggest storm that we're tracking right now is actually the storm that's out southwest of Rolla. That had some baseball-size hail. Tornado watch is in effect for all of the area from St. Louis on to the south. These are not tornadic storms. They are severe thunderstorms, so you want to be inside, away from windows and doors, and just be on alert, especially if you live in an area of southeast Missouri on a line from Rolla to, say, Festus over towards southern portions of Illinois, Nashville, Illinois south. That's a more favorable area for tornadoes to develop here as we head through this afternoon, and some of them potentially could be strong to significant and last a while, unlike those quick spin-ups. Again, hail and wind, your main threats right now. Tremendous amount of lightning too. Stay inside, away from windows and doors. We'll try to stay out of your race as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
You want a break?
Yeah, you want to switch over?
Yeah. I think it still works unless, maybe if you can see me.
Well, I don't know.
Well, see?
I don't have
Oh,
another.
that wasn't me.
No, here, just do this.
That's fine. No problem. All right, we're locked and loaded here.
Here's the chat.
That's fine. I usually get it on my phone anyway. I forgot
Yeah.
to wear my watch, but that's okay. All right, well, hello. We're checking in here. We got a few things. We're going to give Scotty a break because I think at some point we're going to be seeing you a lot more than perhaps you want to see us, but that's what happens. Right now, of course, the story for us at the moment is the fact that we have PDS Tornado Watch overall throughout the entire area. Here as we look at just some of the things that are going on right now. You know, we have this significant area of severe weather that most of these storms here over the last 30 minutes, 45 minutes, you watched how they've developed here. They've started to, you could see them turn a little bit, but there's more of a favorable environment for that to the south. And that's why we continue to kind of reset what's going on as we have, you know, several things going on along this system here. What I do want to point out is watch how these storms are kind of by themselves. And I know these are out of our area, but I want you to look at some of the back edge. And while these may not necessarily mean anything at the moment, there is some rotation. These are the type of thunderstorms that we talk about when we don't see those brief, weak spin-up tornadoes where we say that. These are the types of tornadoes that these supercell thunderstorms that generally generate significant hail. And even just kind of showing you some of these here at the moment, what I want to look at is just how high these storms are going. Because just to kind of look at where this thing is, I mean, look how high this storm system is. I mean, this little particular supercell thunderstorm is already at about 40,000 feet. That's where the hail core is pretty significant. And when you get baseball-sized hail, the updrafts are in excess of 100 miles an hour. So that's how significant and turbulent this atmosphere is. So as we look at what's going on here at the moment, you know, just want to point out a few things here. We've got obviously a lot of lightning. That's one of the big stories, but we also look at some of those little bursts of wind. As I turn this back on here, you can see where we have some of these warnings, several areas of severe thunderstorm warnings that have continued here at the moment. But look at some of these areas to the south where you're already starting to see these toward and away from the radar winds. That's what we're going to monitor here along this little nudge where these storms continue to develop here over the last 15 to 20 minutes. So as we continue to monitor that threat, that's the story for us here at the moment, is where do we have these storms that continue to develop along this line. I'm just trying to get back and figure out where we are with some of this. Here we go. I'm on Scott's show, so I got to do a little manipulating here as we kind of keep you posted about what's going on. So when we talk about the area under the tornado watch at the moment, we are still dealing with a majority of our area under tornado watch until about 11 o'clock. So let me get back here into this deal. This is where we have the main line of storms that develops along this. And eventually, at some point, this may turn into more of a linear situation where we have 75 plus mile per hour wind that may affect a greater area. But here at this moment, we have several severe thunderstorm warnings that are in place either between now and 5:15 or now and 5:30. And you'll see that, like I mentioned, this is along this line. That's where we're probably going to see more of this wind threat, where you have 60 to 65 mile an hour wind, quarter-sized hail, maybe golf ball-sized hail. But when we talk about some of the other things here, let me add one of these deals here. When we talk about some of the other things that we're dealing with throughout the day, you know, it more has to do with the fact that we have significant, you know, look at this area that we're under a tornado warning for. This tornado warning, or it's tornado watch, excuse me here. We're getting already ahead of ourselves. But this tornado watch, all the way from about 70 to the south, this is a PDS tornado watch. We don't see that a ton. It means a particularly dangerous situation. This is not something we come up with. This is the wording from the Storm Prediction Center, because it usually means the potential for significant tornado development or long track tornado potential, because the ingredients are favorable. So as we look at all these polygons, everybody seemingly is under some sort of severe thunderstorm warning at the very least. Now I want to remove those. We'll remove the watch and get back into things. And I want to show you some of the areas that are impacted here at the moment right now, because this goes from Really at the airport, that's going to be one of the main things here. And I'm going to flash this on. Look at the airport here. It's pretty dark. And then I'm going to switch things here as we look at it's pretty significantly dark here as we've got things that are, you know, look how dark this is, right? You got the arch. It's not quite as dark. It's pretty nasty outside. So that's one of the things that when we're looking at significant weather, it's pretty dark here downtown. Not quite as much as we look east. You got many areas that are going to be impacted here as we've got some pretty decent rain here at the moment. And that's what we're looking at here at the moment as we have that dark sky and more updates here ahead. So as we continue to monitor what's happening here, you know, for the most part, the significant threat for us is the fact that we have a tornado watch here until 11 o'clock tonight. So like I mentioned, we'll reset here and talk about what's happening. Because as we are still monitoring that trend here, that tornado watch is in place until 10 o'clock or until 11 o'clock. That's a PDS tornado watch. That means a particularly dangerous situation tornado watch. And that overall has to do with the fact that we have the potential for significant tornadoes throughout. So as we look at what's happening here at the moment, I'll get you right back to this. We have several severe thunderstorm warnings in place. More of them between 64 and 44. And you'll notice that this storm near Rolla that are kind of by themselves, those are the ones that we may see the potential for. You see just kind of how different they are, right? They're just kind of by themselves. They're not in that grouping of a line where eventually as those kind of come together, they form more of a linear pattern. These grouping areas in a line are kind of giving us an idea that as they potentially may rotate just a little bit, you know, I want to show you that how we've got upgraded from the risk. And you'll see that this is the bullseye for significant severe weather. This is the moderate risk, category 4 of 5 from the Storm Prediction Center. This is one of the main reasons that led up to that particularly dangerous situation tornado watch that's in place until 11 o'clock. That includes Rolla. So where we see that development of those storms by themselves, that's where we're going to continue to monitor that trend for storms like that, because these storms are kind of by themselves. You can see that. It's not out of the question that some of them can rotate, but when you look at the types of storms just by themselves, you know, you look at some of these storms that are starting to work their way into Phelps, and, you know, look how they have, you know, that kind of in between. And we look at the velocity product here, you can see some rotation, and this is kind of not necessarily no man's land radar-wise, but it's pretty far away from the St. Louis radar, all things considered. It's a little closer to the Springfield radar. So you know, you're able to see that some of these storms are already indicating where we have that toward and away from the radar. And while it's minor, it's something to watch, because if that continues to strengthen and then eventually lowers to the ground, that's where we see those issues, and that's where we're going to jump on your TV. See how it flip-flops between radars for me? I go to the Springfield radar, I come back to the St. Louis radar. And that's what we're going to look at right now, because you don't see quite as much of that. There's some minor areas, but for the most part, it is right now a wind damage threat for many of us, and the fact that we have some quarter-sized hail or maybe up to golf ball-sized hail in some cases. So, you know, there are continuing some areas here, you know, even as we look at some of the cameras here. In fact, I'm going to switch on one of these cameras. Let me pull up something here. I'm going to pull I got the airport up, but I want to, the airport is quite something here at this moment. So, like Eric just mentioned, but I'm going to switch to see if we can see anything in Chesterfield, because that's probably a pretty good one too. And I'm going to switch to that right now. That's what we do. We are on the fly. So Chesterfield specifically actually looks like a pretty decent lower cloud here, and you can kind of see that where I think why some people may be saying that they see some rotation on this. I'm going to try to control this camera here so that we can take a look at this maybe from a broad perspective, or maybe zoom this around, and you can kind of see that you know, things are the cloud is definitely moving and lowering here. And so when you look at the significance of that, in fact, I'm going to put this up behind me on the screen here now that I got that playing. You know, it's quite, it looks, you know, pretty gnarly, I would say. So it's definitely going to get a lot of people's attention as I finally find that one. Maybe it's this one. That's another MoDOT cam.
So they're upping the hail to 2 inches
And that's in
for St. Louis
for St. Louis, okay.
and St. Charles, and upping the winds to 70.
So now we got up to 70-mile-per-hour winds, and I'm going to zoom in on that side. But I want you to be able to see this. I want you to be able to see this cloud behind.
And adding a tornado possible tag
Okay.
too, because there is a little bit of rotation.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to pull up on this Chesterfield cam now that I got it up here. I had to do some finding it on the fly, but I got it on the stream, so you're able to see that. But this is the cloud that, you know, that they're kind of looking at, and the potential for, you know, maybe people are seeing some rotation with this. It's not a tornado, but you're going to see a lot of clouds like this here at this moment, and that's where things are maybe providing of concern. And so as I put this back on the radar for you and come back out with me, I want you to be able to see not only that behind me, but I'm going to put the radar behind and kind of have some of those updates that Scott provided here as we have upwards of 2-inch hail and 70-mile-per-hour winds. So, you know, we still, in fact, now we got a report of about 2.5-inch hail in St. Charles. So let's find where some of this really big hail is first and foremost, because right now I would say it's definitely the storm that we can see at the airport. That's where it's as dark as can be, and that's probably the most significant hail right now. This is the storm right now that is for portions of St. Louis County and St. Charles County until 5:15. Without a doubt, it's going to be extended here further downstream. You can see as it moves off to the south and southeast. But, you know, overall, this is the storm that's providing the most significant hail threat right now. And as we look at kind of scope some of this, I want to be able to find some of this hail for you because it's pretty significant hail here at this moment. And look at where the core of this hail is. In fact, the core of the hail is actually moving, it seems like, a little bit off to the northeast here. You'll see that, and this is the area in St. Charles. In fact, it's probably right across 70 here, or it has occurred right across 70. And so that's going to be kind of an interesting thing, because that's probably that storm that I just showed you at the airport that's got that it looks really, really dark here at the moment, and you can kind of see that. So I'd be surprised if we didn't have something going on at the airport with, look how dark that is here. And I can put that behind me real quick, but I did want to show you what was going on here, and this is what we've got going on. I'll put this on the full screen, so if you're watching here at home, that you're able to see that here. You know, we still have. I'm controlling on the vMix right now, Eric. So thank you, Director Eric's in play. So we're in good shape here because, you know, he's usually on it. But this is the area for the significant hail we're looking at right now. It's always a little behind. So in my sense that when we're looking at some of the hail, you know, it shows it here, but it's probably right here, and it's about to cross the river, and that's typically where we see that. It's usually the dark shade of purple, and that's staying north of Florissant. That is, you know, pretty much working its way, pretty much north of Missouri Bottom, right at 370 in Missouri Bottom.
Yeah,
I think
that's going to go into North County.
Yeah, that's pretty significant here. So, yeah, this is an area right along 270 that we're seeing some of that, and I just want to put this into motion because I just don't. The hail tracker doesn't really do very much justice on this thing. So, as you're kind of listening to me at home or watching this,
You got Macoupin in Montgomery County too, in Illinois.
okay, so, you know, they're going to continue to. That's the next severe thunderstorm warning that's in place here. You have these two spots specifically, and you know this storm probably not as strong as the other ones right now, but it's ping pong ball sized hail. So it's just kind of you know, indicative of the environment that we're going to see a lot of hail damage with some of these storms. Once again, this entire area right now, as I pull this back and pull you on with me here, this entire area is not only capable of 60 to 70 mile per hour wind at the very least, but maybe even golf ball to baseball size hail. We've seen upwards of 2.5-inch hail. Then we'll watch areas to the south. As this moves to the south, we see maybe further development. That's a little bit more favorable for rotation, and that's the next thing that we're going to look at as well. In fact, there are some areas that are probably indicating some of that right now, at least some minor rotation and maybe some lowering of clouds outside right now. And you'll see these little bursts of wind here, and that's where it is north of St. Charles. There's no really incredibly tight rotation, but it's not out of the question here, kind of where we have some of that hail, that you're able to see where we have some of that. That's where that hail core is. So that's always an area that we'll focus on maybe a little bit more as well. But as I put the radar back up here and I get me off the screen and I kind of zoom in, I want you to be able to see some of this here. In fact, the airport camera is even more gnarly looking. And I'm going to put that up for you in this one too, just so I can keep flashing it back and forth, because the airport camera is pretty significant here at this point. Look how low those clouds are and just how ominous looking it is. And it's still dry here at this moment, but man, I'll tell you what, it's even kind of got that, greenish hue we so often look at, but when we're talking about some of the hail. What's up, Mark?
We've got some highway flooding in
Okay.
Washington County as well.
Okay.
Missouri State Highway Patrol told us that Washington County Emergency Manager, there's a street flooding Highway 100 near Highway KK is covered in water, just for people that may be.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's
Thanks, bud.
break in,
Yeah.
Gary. Why don't we cut in and
Yeah.
just update people, because
Yeah.
it's 70-mile-an-hour wind potential
And
and hail
baseball
up to
size and tennis ball size hail.
tennis ball
Okay.
size hail.